So the president, according to the Constitution, is always commander-in-chief. The president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. That's what the Constitution says. All right. So when does this happen? When is it legal? All right. It's part of the job description. The president is commander-in-chief. He always is. When can he act as commander-in-chief? Now, that's a different story. That we get into some shaky ground in terms of legality. He is always commander-in-chief, but it's debatable when he can use his commander-in-chief powers. And this really depends on who you ask as to when it's legal and when he can do that. The last time we had a declared war, and remember, only Congress can declare war. Only Congress can declare war. It was June 4th, 1942, against Bulgaria, Hungary, and Romania, who had joined the Axis powers at that point. That was the last time that we officially declared war. So Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, all that, these are undeclared conflicts. So early Americans, they didn't give the political class many powers in wartime because they saw the failure of a weak executive under the Articles of Confederation. And they wanted a single leader during times of conflict. They didn't want the whole Congress making plans. That would have been bad in so many ways. 535 members these days of Congress trying to direct a war effort. Not the greatest thing on earth. Certainly not conducive to running and winning a war. The framers didn't want an unchecked president, so they granted the powers to Congress. What powers? The Congress has the power of the purse, so funding or not of the military. The Congress can declare war. These are just two of the powers. Control military resources too, check the executive, and the legislature has the purse strings. And don't ask me precisely, it's an old parliamentary thing that the legislature has the purse strings. So this is a strong check on the executive branch. Now, if Congress was doing its job, they would and could and should probably say, hey, Barack Obama, hey, Donald Trump, hey, Joe Biden, and whoever else comes in the future and whoever else was in the past, no, we're not funding this. We should stay out of Korea. We should stay out of Vietnam. It's none of our business. They should work it out for them. They should work it out by themselves. Maybe. So the debate here on the president's commander-in-chief powers, Congress says, and the people who side with Congress say that the declare war clause, so Congress has the ability to declare war, the mark and reprisal clause, a letter of marque back in the day was something that you gave. It essentially legalized piracy. So if you owned a ship, if you were a ship captain or a commander or whatever, and you could fit some cannon onto your ship, you could apply to the Congress for a letter of marque, and they would give you this letter of marque and says you can go and you can do whatever you need to do against, say, German shipping. And that is fine by us. We won't arrest you. We won't do anything for you, against you, if you are just sticking with destroying German shipping. But the declare war clause and the mark and reprisal clause, Congress says grant them very broad powers over wartime activities. And they say the president has no authority to initiate hostilities without prior approval from Congress, which constitutionally, that's pretty black and white. They don't. He doesn't. Congress must declare war. This is pretty black and white. This isn't really an issue. Now, the people on the side of the president say Congress only has power over funding and removal of executive officers, they're conveniently leaving out the whole part where Congress does have the power to declare war. The executive vesting clause and the commander-in-chief clause confer power on the president to insert military into hostile situations, which has been done, and we will get to that in our study of the war powers, which should be next up. So this distinction here between Congress's power to declare war and the president's ability to repel invasions of military force, this is kind of a no-brainer. Nobody's going to have a problem with the president saying, all right, boys, go get them, if the Mexicans suddenly decide to invade with their army from the south, or the Canadians come from the north and start throwing maple syrup bottles at us. It's not going to be a problem. The president has that power to repel invasions. So that isn't an issue.